From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Waodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, Robert Cardinal Prevost emerges as first American pontiff in history, will be known as Pope Leo XIV. Senate passes final tax bills, ends work on Tinubu's reforms. Electoral Offences Commission bill passes second reading in the House. And Pakistan downs 25 Indian drones. President urges calm amid tensions.
And on business, Nigeria completes payment of $3.4 billion loan borrowed from the International Monetary Fund in 2020.
On sports tonight, the Flying Eagles of Nigeria set up a meeting with the Senegal in the quarterfinals of the CAF Under-20 African Cup of Nations and a place at this year's FIFA Under-20 World Cup.
And from the nation's capital, federal government launches a 5-year national plan of action to end violence against children in Nigeria.
We begin tonight in Rome, where a new chapter has unfolded, and it's one for the history books, as the white smoke from the Sistine Chapel chimney signals one thing, and that's the emergence of a new pope. He is Robert Francis Cardinal Prevost, an American. His election comes after 133 cardinals voted a fourth time since Wednesday at the Vatican. The 69-year-old new leader of the Catholic Church and the first American pontiff will be known as Pope Leo XIV. Our correspondent Amarachi Ubani reports.
It has been almost 2 days since the 133 cardinals of the Catholic Church entered conclave to elect a new pope, knowing only one of them would emerge as pope. A crowd gathered at St. Peter's Square, anxiously awaiting the announcement. A false alarm in the afternoon raised hopes a decision had been made, until the definitive white smoke billowed from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel where the cardinals were. About an hour later, the senior cardinal appeared on the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica and announced the famous words, Habemus Papam, Latin for, we have a new pope, and introduced the new pontiff by his chosen papal name, Leo XIV.
Habemus Papam. Dominum Robertum Franciscum, Sancte Romane Ecclesiae, Cardinalem Prevost. Qui sibi nomen imposuit, Leonem decimum quartum.
Then another waiting period before Pope Leo XIV emerged on the balcony with a blessing. May peace be with all of you, to the joy of hundreds gathered.
La pace sia con tutti voi.
He thanked the cardinals who elected him during the 2-day conclave and continued with a message of peace.
This is the peace of the risen Christ. Peace that is disarming and humble and persevering. It comes from God. God who loves all of us without any limits and conditions.
Ancora conserviamo nei nostri orecchi
and
quella voce debole ma sempre
and we still have the sound in our ears of the weak voice of Pope Francis, who was blessing Rome here.
He concluded his first speech by switching back to Italian, leading the people in a quick prayer, which is greeted by further cheering.
Et Spiritus Sancti descendat super vos et maniat semper.
After which he read a religious passage in Latin, paying homage to the saints and the Madonna. The Chicago-born Pope Leo, the 267th Bishop of Rome, is seen as a reformer and who worked for many years as a missionary in Peru before being made an archbishop there. Amarachi Ubani, Channel Television News.
Well, back home in the Red Chamber, the Senate has passed the Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Bill and the Nigeria Tax Administration Bill. The passage followed a clause-by-clause consideration after the chairman of the Senate Committee on Finance, Senator Sani Musa, presented the report of the committee to the lawmakers. Our National Assembly correspondent Gloria Umezuki reports.
It was a day lawmakers in the upper chamber set aside for the completion of the consideration of the final two tax reform bills submitted by President Tinubu in October 2024.
Clause-by-clause consideration.
After several checks and observations, the final two bills comprising the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill and the Nigerian Tax Bill 2025 were passed.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to repeal certain acts on taxation and consolidate the legal frameworks relating to taxation and enact the Nigeria Tax Bill to provide for taxation of income, transactions and instruments, and for later matters 2025, third reading taken and passed.
Pleased with the outcome, the Senate leader assures of more and takes a swipe at critics.
For those who continue to criticize us unnecessarily, we will remain undetracted and not allow any form of negative attitude or deliberate shenanigan, which in most parts are politically motivated rather than being in overriding public interest, to distract us. You realize that there are some black people, because of their skins, who went to prison, sometimes 37 years, sometimes 27 years, some 25 years, for false allegations. So I'm not one of those people who that you would say will step down for false allegation. Then when eventually it is proven that the allegations were false, they will say, oh, we were unfair to Akpabio. No.
Earlier, the Senate relaxed its rules to admit family members of late elder statesman Pa Edwin Clark as the lawmakers hold a valedictory session to honor the late Ijaw leader.
Thank you very much. We can't replace the voice of Edwin Clark. But what we can learn is that never should any one of us feel so comfortable in a system as to be unable to speak truth, even in power.
For us that are coming up, we will seek to look at his virtues and see how we can emulate him. May his soul rest in peace.
However, in his remarks, the Senate President seized the opportunity to react to recent comments by Mr. Peter Obi, describing past efforts by Nigeria's nationalists as a waste.
God has kept us together because of the voices of people like Pa Edwin Clark. When somebody makes a statement that the labors of our heroes pass, I in vain, I beg to disagree. Let our brother Peter Obi show leadership like Edwin Clark did by resolving first the crisis in the Labour Party. For a man who wants to run Nigeria, you have one of the smallest parties in Nigeria, and you cannot even resolve the crisis in that Labour Party. Is it the crisis of Boko Haram that you will come and resolve in Nigeria?
Senator Akpabio equally reacted to comments by the Minister of Defense regarding the Senate's resolution to convoke a national security summit.
Any objection or any issue with any resolution of the Senate, he shouldn't do so in the market. He should get in touch with the Senate President or the Senate elders.
The Senate has now constituted a conference committee to harmonize all aspects of the bills ahead of its final transmission to President Bola Tinubu. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuki, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the newly passed tax reform bills at the National Assembly have been a long time coming, from mixed reactions trailing it after it was introduced in October 2024 by President Bola Tinubu. Our correspondent, Kubi Aboluwade, presents this report on the journey of the 2025 tax reform bills.
Fiscal and tax reforms have been pivotal in shaping Nigeria's economic landscape, evolving through various historical periods. In 2007, the Federal Inland Revenue Service was restructured to improve tax administration and compliance. In 2012, Nigeria introduced its first national tax policy, providing a framework for tax administration and ensuring consistency in tax laws and regulations.
I, Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
In October 2024, 18 months after President Bola Tinubu assumed office, he transmitted 4 tax reform bills to the National Assembly for consideration, namely the Nigerian Tax Bill 2024, the Nigerian Tax Administration Bill, the Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Bill, and the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill. The tax reform bills were recommended by the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms to consolidate the tax framework, reduce tax burden on individuals and businesses, promote ease of compliance, generate more revenue for the government, amongst others. However, the introduction of the bill in the National Assembly sparked diverse reactions amongst lawmakers, as some argued against the National Assembly's powers to create state-level tax agencies.
There is preponderance of ambiguity in this act because of the absence of interpretation clause. The interpretation clause is not robust, did not address the issue of derivation. What is derivation in this act?
I thought that once we legislate the broad terms of distribution of VAT, that is okay for us. Not to go down to determine what they do and where how do they apply it based on what we're creating confusion. That's my worry.
Outside the chambers, the bills also received stiff opposition from the Northern States Governors Forum, raising concerns over the proposed VAT revenue sharing formula, which allocates 60% of VAT revenue to the state where goods and services are consumed, 20% based on population, and 20% equally shared among all states.
With dismay the content of the recent tax bill that was forwarded to the National Assembly. The contents of the bill are against the interests of the North and other subnationals, especially the proposed amendment to the distribution of value-added tax to derivation-based model.
The National Economic Council is not left out, as they asked President Bola Tinubu to withdraw the bills.
Council therefore recommend the need to withdraw the bill currently before the National Assembly on tax reforms.
The president, however, rejected the proposals, insisting that the National Assembly can accommodate the diverse views through its appropriate processes. On January 16, 2025, the Nigerian Governors Forum endorsed the bill after taking a position on the VAT formula. The bills successfully passed the second reading in both chambers of the National Assembly in February 2025, and in April 2025, the House of Representatives passed the tax reform bills. Just when the dust was about to settle, the organized labor and May-Day celebration called for the withdrawal of the bill, citing irregularities.
We stand united against the unjust tax bill trying to bleed us dry. Crafted behind closed doors, this bill slaps heavy taxes on Nigerian workers, meager housing, transportation, and medical allowances, while letting the rich and corporations off the hook.
With the resumed plenary in the Red Chamber on the 6th of May, the tax bills have taken center stage, making it high on their agenda. Following the intense attention these bills have generated, Nigerians are looking forward to the promised benefits such as increased disposable income, reduced companies' income tax, and many more. Kumbi Aboluwade, Channels Television News.
Still to come on the news at 10, President Bola Tinubu visits Anambra State, inaugurates legacy projects undertaken by Governor Chukwuma Soludo. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Cardinal Robert Prevost already emerges first American pontiff in history. He will be known as Pope Leo XIV. Senate passes final tax bills and work on President Tinubu's reforms. Electoral Offences Commission bill passes second reading in the House. Pakistan downs 25 Indian drones. President urges calm amid tensions. Chamber now, where the House of Representatives has passed a resolution to invite the Ministers of Finance, Budget and Economic Planning, the Accountants General of the Federation, as well as the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. And this is sequel to a motion on the need to investigate the non-payment of contractors working with the federal ministries, departments and agencies since 2024. The motion was raised by the lawmaker representing Dokwa Okwani federal constituencies in Delta State, Honorable Nnamdi Kanu, who warned that if not promptly addressed, the situation could lead to mass protests, legal disputes and complete paralysis of public projects. Meanwhile, a bill to establish an Electoral Offences Commission has already scaled second reading in the House of Representatives. Our National Assembly correspondent Terry Ikumi reports.
The final plenary session of the week in the House of Representatives witnessed yet another set of defections. 3 lawmakers from Katsina State, Abdullahi Balarabe, Abubakar Aliyu, and Yusuf Mejigari, defected from the People's Democratic Party to the ruling All Progressives Congress, with the Katsina State governor in attendance. Afterwards, a motion of urgent national importance was raised, drawing attention to allegations of non-payment of contractors working with federal ministries, departments and agencies since 2024.
The situation, if left unchecked, could lead to mass protests, legal disputes, and complete paralysis of public projects. Resolves. Invite the following officials to appear before the House of Reps on Tuesday 13th, Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Accountant General of the Federation, the Governor of the Central Bank, Auditor General of the Federation, and any other relevant officials.
The House mandates the Committee on Public Accounts and the House Committee on Budget and Economic Planning to, among others, conduct an investigation into the systemic failure to disburse funds for contractor payments and accountability lapses responsible for processing payments.
Free and credible elections are the bedrock of any...
Next, the House considers a bill to establish an Electoral Offences Commission.
The integrity of our electoral process continues to be undermined by ranges of offences which include vote buying, vote selling, snatching of boxes, and all the other factors. But INEC as an agency has been overwhelmed by the responsibility of prosecuting all these offenders, and because of that, many offenders are not being prosecuted, and this is not really giving credibility to the institution
decision of INEC. So that is the reason why Nigerians are calling for the independence of an agency that will be taking care of electoral offences generally.
The bill scales second reading and will be subjected to a public hearing. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
As part of efforts to address challenges confronting Nigeria's education sector, the Nigeria Governors Forum has inaugurated a steering committee to fine-tune arrangements for the National Education Summit expected to hold in December this year. The forum, which is made up of state commissioners of education, the Nigerian University Commission, and the Universal Basic Education, is chaired by the Edo State Commissioner for Education, Mr. Padi Iyamu. The Director General of the Nigeria Governors Forum says the summit is part of the renewed efforts to address challenges including skills gap, financing, and the problem of out-of-school children across Nigeria.
The Nigerian Education Forum made an edition in 2025 with the theme Pathways to Sustainable Education Financing, developing a synergy between the town and gown in Nigeria. It's the largest gathering of relevant stakeholders with an excellent networking and peer learning opportunities across all levels of the education spectrum to address skill gaps and financing challenges at the national and sub-national levels. This excellent networking opportunities we are providing aim at addressing the skills and employability gaps, mobilize investment for basic to higher education, and collaborate with industry players in the transformation of the entire education ecosystem. The Nigerian Education Forum 2025 Summit will facilitate reflections on innovative solutions to tackle current and pressing national and subnational challenges with a focus on leveraging public-private partnership, the town and gown synergy, innovative financing, and international collaborations to promote access, improving learning outcomes, develop a breadth of skills, and ensure sustainable financing of the education sector.
The news at 10 continues now. Let's head over to Abuja Studios where Terry Ikumi is standing by. Over to you, Terry.
Well, thank you very much, Anne. The federal government has launched a 5-year national plan of action to end violence against children in Nigeria. At the launch of the document in Abuja, President Bola Tinubu, represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, says his administration will continue to build necessary institutional frameworks that guarantee the rights and safety of every Nigerian child. Our State House correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
Vice President Kashim Shettima arrives at the State House Banquet Hall for the ministerial-level regional meeting of the Pathfinding Global Alliance on Ending Violence Against Children. The event is attended by representatives of 14 member countries from Africa, including children, whose voices echo in the hall, underpinning the need for love. Nigeria's Minister of Women Affairs emphasizes the importance of regional cooperation among African countries to safeguarding the rights of the children, just as the United Nations Special Representative of the Secretary General on Violence Against Children calls for political willpower.
We must take this as a public commitment to prioritize children's rights, invest in evidence-based interventions, and build robust systems for prevention, protection, rehabilitation, and justice.
We cannot build an Africa and a strong, sustainable, and equitable, and just, and safe environment without seeing investing in child protection and well-being as key, as crucial.
Ministers from member countries of the alliance pledged the commitment of their governments.
We want to end violence in every corner of the globe, where our children would be free from molestation, from abuse, from trafficking.
The government of Zimbabwe has continued to review and develop multi-sectoral policies and programs to end violence against children.
President Bola Tinubu is represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, who calls for enforcement of laws that protect the rights of children.
Today, under the vision of the Renewed Hope Agenda, we are setting our sights higher. The invaluable commitments made during the 2021 National Policy Dialogue on ending violence against children continue to guide our efforts. Inspired by the momentum from Bogota and the leadership seen across our continent, we are expanding the frontiers of possibility.
The event climaxes with the unveiling of Nigeria's National Plan of Action to End Violence Against Children, a document which provides a multi-sectoral approach to ending violence against children. The commitment made at this event has ignited hope in the Nigerian children of a better and safe place for them to thrive. But beyond words, action is required to make a change for a country where 6 out of 10 children are currently reported to suffer violence before they turn 18, according to the UNICEF. From the banquet hall of the State House, Abuja, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria completes payment of $3.4 billion loan borrowed from the International Monetary Fund in 2020. That's on Business News, so stay with us. Welcome back to the news at 10. An official of the Department of State Services and second prosecution witness in the trial of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has told the Federal High Court, Abuja, that the broadcasts made by Mr. Kanu led to the killing of a senior special advisor to former President Goodluck Jonathan, Mr. Ahmed Gulak, and others. The witness gave this testimony at the resumed hearing of the case. In a video recording played in court, Mr. Kanu distanced himself from any form of violence that occurred in Lagos during the EndSARS protests. Our correspondent Emanuela Ekele reports.
The trial of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, resumes at the Federal High Court, Abuja, with the second prosecution witness continuing his evidence. This time, another video recording is played in the court. The recording contains an interview conducted by the second prosecution witness, codenamed Triple B, with Nnamdi Kanu. In the video, Mr. Kanu admitted making a series of broadcasts during the EndSARS protests. However, he said any form of violence that occurred in Lagos during the EndSARS protests cannot be attributed to him, as Lagos is not a Biafran state. He further stated that IPOB is a non-violent movement. Your interpretation of my broadcast is different from my understanding. In the words of Mr. Kanu in the interview, I cannot count members of IPOB. I practice Judaism. We do not count our members. No IPOB member is a terrorist, and they do not involve themselves in any form of criminality. During the interview, the DSS officer interrogating him played him a video recording, which was one of his broadcasts on Radio Biafra, where he issued out directives to some of his supporters during the EndSARS protest. The record played during the interrogation as transcribed as any government property in Lagos should be burnt down. In concluding his submission, the witness told the court that the Eastern Security Network carried out orders by Mr. Kanu for a sit-at-home order, and innocent persons who did not obey the order were allegedly killed, including a senior special advisor to former President Goodluck Jonathan, Mr. Ahmed Gulak. The witness asked the investigations also revealed that before the death of Mr. Gulak, those enforcing the sit-at-home directive by Kanu blamed Gulak for coming out on a day the leader asked people not to go out of their homes. Counsel to Mr. Kanu refused to cross-examine the second prosecution witness, saying they needed time to consult with Nnamdi Kanu. Speaking for the defense team, Paul Erokoro noted that Mr. Kanu has been in custody and they need time to confer with him. He asked that the court adjourn to May 21. However, the prosecuting counsel objected to the long adjournment because the court had granted an accelerated hearing in the case. Justice James Omotosho subsequently adjourned the case to 14th, 21st, and 22nd May for continuation of hearing. Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
Staying with the courts, the third prosecution witness in the alleged money laundering case instituted by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission against the immediate past governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, has admitted that there was no transfer of fees from the Kogi State government or any of the local governments in the state to the account of the American International School, Abuja. During cross-examination by the defendant's counsel and senior advocate of Nigeria, Joseph Daudu, The witness, Mr. Nicholas Ojamon, an internal auditor at the American International School, Abuja, also admitted that there was no transfer bearing the name Yahaya Bello in the documents. The trial judge, Justice Emeka Nwite, had also earlier rejected the EFCC's objection to the admissibility of a judgment of the Federal Capital Territory High Court between Mr. Ali Bello and incorporated trustees of American International School. Delivering a ruling, Justice Nwite said the objection of the prosecution was preemptive, adding that the court had since moved away from the platform of technicalities to the platform of substantial justice. Justice Nwite added that admissibility of documents is strictly guided by law as far as it satisfies the provision of Section 102 and 104 of the Evidence Act. And while the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos today adjourned until June 11 for parties to continue their settlement talks in a case between the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, First Bank, the chairman of Honeywell Group, Oba Otudeko, and others. Justice Chukwujekwu Aneke adjourned the case for report for settlement following the agreement by the parties that negotiation talks were on. Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Bode Olanipekun, who was representing Oba Otudeko, told the court that it was necessary to grant an adjournment of the case to allow the negotiations continue. The prosecutor, Mrs. Bilikisu Buhari-Bala, confirmed the position to the court, but added that the case be adjourned for report of settlement or an arraignment of the defendants if the settlement talks break down. Away from the courts, the Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Bosun Tijani, has called on Nigerians to embrace technology and build solutions that will put Nigeria on the global map. The minister was speaking at the flag-off ceremony of the first Enugu Tech Festival tagged Coal of Code, which was organized by the state government. At the event, which took place at the Enugu International Conference Center, the minister commended the government efforts, encouraging the people to trust the process and progress to a digital economy.
Progress is not automatic, and it needs all of us. It needs the government to continue to be brave. It needs the private sector to invest deeper. It needs mentors, builders, teachers, and it needs believers. So I ask you, what role will you play, whether you're young or old? Will you build the tools that connect rural farmers to market? Will you teach a child how to code? Will you back the next startup coming out of Enugu? The story of Nigeria's tech revolution cannot be told without Enugu in it. The tomorrow we aspire to live in, or we want to achieve, the things we want to achieve, are within our grasp only to the extent that we innovate, right? So that means that we would have to do what? Innovate, and we have to essentially deploy technology in order for us to grow exponentially, in order for us to do things differently.
Well, that's all from the nation's capital. Back to Lagos for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Terry. HyPrep project coordinator, Professor Nnamdi Kanu, has announced a major milestone in the Ogoni land cleanup, a 3-year health biomonitoring contract, which has been awarded to the World Health Organization's Cancer Research Agency. According to him, while the Ogoni Specialist Hospital is to be equipped with the state-of-the-art facilities, including a modern MRI machine. And this was revealed during the first quarterly meeting of HyPrep with regulators and stakeholders in Port Harcourt, the River State capital. Our correspondent Deborah Agbalama reports.
Regulators and stakeholders gather for the first time this year to hear the progress and updates from HyPrep, as well as make meaningful contributions to strengthen ongoing interventions.
I am pleased to inform you that work on several fronts of the project is progressing steadily. As key project partners, your insights and shared experiences have always enriched our operations. And as we look ahead, such cohesion remains critical to the success of HYPREP's mandate.
The HYPREP coordinator, Professor Nnamdi Kanu, lists a 3-year contract given to the International Agency for Research on Cancer under the World Health Organization, plans to intensify shoreline cleanup, expand mangrove restoration, improve water access, amongst others.
Drawing from the renewed Hope national agenda, which emphasizes the acceleration of the Ogoni cleanup, the policy thrust for 2035 is clear. We are intensifying efforts to complete various ongoing projects, including remediation works, mangrove restoration, potable water facilities, Center of Excellence for Environmental Restoration, the Ogoni Power Project, One Cottage Hospital, the Ogoni Specialist Hospital, and many more.
Participants at the meeting applaud HYPREP's strides, citing progress in key areas such as mangrove planting, remediation works, water provision, and the Center of Excellence for Environmental Restoration, which is almost completed.
So we are happy with progressive approaches of the leadership of HYPREP, and on our own part, we commit to continue our independent monitoring, collaborating with all stakeholders to ensure total decontamination and the restoration of the land.
The representative of the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency, NOSTRA, federal and state ministries of environment, water and health, as well as civil society groups, including the Stakeholders Democracy Network, CDN, and Center for Environment, Human Rights and Development, CERD, all pledged their continued support to HYPREP at the meeting. Deborah Abalama, Channels Television News.
President Bola Tinubu has commissioned legacy projects undertaken by Governor Chukwuma Soludo of Anambra State during the one-day official visit to that state. Commissioning the projects, the president says the visionary leadership of Governor Soludo describes infrastructure as the backbone of development, announcing that service to the people is all about democracy and prosperity, irrespective of who undertakes it, asking encouragement of good governance.
Mr. President, is historic and consequential. The last state visit by a president was in 2012, ostensibly to commission a brewery and another private enterprise. This visit is not just to commission projects. We have over 500 kilometers of roads, flyovers, bridges completed and waiting for commissioning. We have about 5 brand new general hospitals and world-class trauma center completed, equipped and waiting for commissioning. We have new smart schools and projects waiting for commissioning. New bus and bus terminal, etc., waiting for commissioning. Previously, we had insisted that only the users of our roads and projects should be the ones to commission them, and we have commissioned 200 kilometers of road, commissioned by keke drivers and bus drivers and farmers and traders. We are very strategic, Mr. President, in our choice of projects deserving your attention today. Today, Mr. President, you have unveiled 2 mini-cities. The brochure for this event describes them fully. And the 8-lane boulevard, the Tower of Light, and monument of our heroes. These, what we commissioned today, Mr. President, are mere symbolisms of the audacity of our dreams for a new Anambra State.
I've just commissioned several landmark projects, particularly the Solution Fund City, the Government House Mini City, the Anambra Tower of Light, the Heroes Salute status, and unveiling of the 8-lane Emeka Anyoku Boulevard, which constitute part of the initial step on the path towards your audacious vision of Anambra, an African Dubai, Taiwan, Silicon Valley. Together with the massive infrastructure transformation and human capital development, these are bold statements of vision and and what leadership achieved in such a short time a few years ago.
President Bola Tinubu. Let's head over now to the world of business. Will Ibong is standing by to take us through the stories. Thank you, Anne. Non-federal government has been up to a lot. It has fully repaid the $3.4 billion loan it received from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, in 2020. Now, according to the IMF, the money was secured under the rapid financing instrument to cushion the impact of COVID-19 and falling oil prices. The IMF confirms that Nigeria settled the full amount by April the 30th this year. However, Nigeria will continue to pay about $30 million annually in special charges until its reserve the holdings and special drawing rights match its full allocation. Now, outside our shores, we see that U.S. President Donald Trump has confirmed a new trade deal with the UK, keeping a 10% tariff on auto exports, the lowest rate expected in future deals. Now, the deal includes a $10 billion Boeing order, boosts U.S. beef exports, and creates a steel, aluminum, and pharma trade zone. While Prime Minister Keir Starmer welcomed the idea, UK opposition leader Kemi Badenoch criticized it, saying Britain gave up too much. And with that, we head to the domestic stock market. We see winning streak continuing at the NGX for the fourth day. Laddie Williams is here with the details.
Welcome to the market close summary. Well, the bulls are firmly in control this week, almost reclaiming the previous all-time high, just a few points more, but holding strong to that 109,000 level by 231 points in, 0.35% of market cap, 68 trillion naira. And, you know, it's still earnings season, and we have the latest one today from Airtel Africa, reporting a pre-tax profit of $661 million compared to a pre-tax loss of $63 million in 2024 financial year. But didn't impact the share price much. It's still trading at 2,156 naira. Maybe we might see something happen tomorrow then. But again, a shot now. We see Beta Glass, that's in industrial goods. It's topping the counter again. They're 10%, 116 naira, 65 kobo, and it's had quite a run, you know, so far, up about 60% since last week, Friday. Looking very, very bullish there. And I will see the losers charts there with Legend Internet. The new kid on the block there, down 8.50%. Well, it's a positive market breadth today with volume and value of trades down, but the bulls dominate.
Thank you, Laddie. Let's hope they keep dominating. Now let's check out the closing numbers for other major equities around the world. And that's business news. Is back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10. Thank you, Will. Outside our shores, India and Pakistan are trading blames over escalating tensions as the United States and other countries are asking both sides to de-escalate. Here's Simon Puse with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
कि इन शहीदों के खून के We pledge that the blood of every fallen martyr will be avenged.
The televised address to the nation from Pakistan's president earlier, after his country's military say they shot down 25 Indian drones overnight. Pakistan has not commented on Indian claims that Islamabad sent drones and missiles over the border themselves. India said Pakistan was attempting to engage a number of military targets. Pakistan says 31 people have been killed and 57 injured by airstrikes in Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir since Wednesday morning.
My position is I get along with both. I know both very well, and I want to see them work it out. I want to see them stop. And hopefully they can stop now. They've gone tit for tat, so hopefully they can stop now. But I know both. We get along with both the countries very well, good relationships with both, and I want to see it stop. And if I can do anything to help, I will be there.
Xi Jinping is the headline guest among dozens of world leaders being hosted by Vladimir Putin to mark 80 years since the end of World War II. Both countries have been signing billions of dollars worth of trade deals, with Mr. Putin referring to the Chinese president as a dear friend. It all comes during a 3-day truce called by Russia to mark the 80th anniversary of victory over Nazi Germany. Meanwhile, Ukraine has labelled that ceasefire as a farce because of continued attacks across the front line. Ukrainian officials accused Russia of 734 violations since the truce came into effect, adding that Ukraine was responding appropriately to every attack. Russia's defense ministry insists the ceasefire was being observed and accused Ukraine of 488 violations. At least one person has been killed in Ukraine's northern Sumy region following Russian strikes, according to emergency services there. At least 48 people have been killed in Gaza following a series of Israeli airstrikes. That's according to local health officials. 15 people died at the Karama school in Tuffa, a suburb of Gaza City, where displaced families were sheltering. Another strike killed at least 33 people, including women and children, near a crowded market and restaurant in the city. There has been no immediate comment from Israel. However, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said he will expand an offensive against Hamas and seize the whole of Gaza. A woman has been killed in an axe attack at the University of Warsaw in Poland. The university said she was a staff member and had come under attack in the main campus building on Wednesday evening. A university guard who came to her aid was seriously injured. A 22-year-old Polish man has been arrested, but his motives remain unclear. A U.S. judge in Boston has ordered a temporary block on the Trump administration's plan to deport migrants to Libya, saying it would clearly violate a prior order he made that ensures their right to due process. The order came after 2 U.S. officials said that the U.S. may start soon deporting migrants to Libya as part of its crackdown on immigration. In response, the Libyan Prime Minister said he refused to be the destination for the deportation of migrants under any pretext.
There's really no secret about our approach. We keep moving forward.
Walt Disney has announced plans to open its first theme park in the Middle East. The resort, seen here in a promotional video, will be in the United Arab Emirates on Abu Dhabi's Yas Island, in a collaboration between Walt Disney and the local leisure and entertainment company Miral.
Today, we celebrate another thrilling moment. The creation.
Disney already has 6 theme parks spanning North America, Europe, and Asia. Miral added that 120 million passengers travel through Abu Dhabi and Dubai every year, making the Emirates the biggest global airline hub in the world. And a final shortlist of 5 proposed designs for the National Memorial to Queen Elizabeth II has been revealed by the government. The memorial, commemorating the life of Britain's longest reigning monarch, who died in September 2022, will be built in St James's Park in central London and has a budget of up to £46 million. 3 of the 5 proposed designs feature the late Queen riding a horse, reflecting her lifelong enthusiasm for equestrianism. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. The Flying Eagles of Nigeria will face Senegal in the quarterfinal of the CAF Under-20 African Cup of Nations in Egypt. This comes after Senegal defeated DR Congo to finish second of Group C and set up a meeting with the Flying Eagles. The 8th-time champions will battle their West African rivals on Monday, May 12 at the Suez Canal Stadium in Ismailia. The winners of the quarterfinal ties will represent Africa at this year's FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile. In the UEFA Europa League, Manchester United will face Tottenham Hotspur in an all-English clash in the final of the competition. Manchester United defeated Atletico Bilbao 4-1 in the second leg at Old Trafford to advance 7-1 on aggregate. Tottenham Hotspur earned a 2-0 win over Norwegian side Bodo Glimt to progress 5-1 on goal aggregate. The final will be played on May 21 at the San Mamés Stadium in Bilbao, Spain.
Champion.
That's sports. It's back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. Cardinal Robert Prevost today emerged the first American pontiff in history, and the new pontiff will be known as Pope Leo XIV. Also today, the Senate passed the final tax bills as lawmakers ended work on President Tinubu's proposed reforms. The Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill 2025 and the Nigeria Tax Bill 2025 were passed. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Mwawadu. Good night and stay safe.